Donald Trump has posted another one of his Truth Social diatribes, or addresses. You could call it a Truth Social address to make it more professional. And this one is called Restoring Justice in America, a response to his legal troubles and wanting to get back at the entities he feels wronged by. And we'll discuss this more extensively after we take a look at the video, but what's being outlined here, and he touches a little bit on it, but it also represents the larger plan he's been outlining over the course of the last months about what a possible second Trump presidency, which hopefully won't happen, but what that would look like. And a lot of it would be, as he's been saying during rallies, a retribution presidency. And so this is so bad for what it means about that hypothetical that hopefully will prevent from becoming a reality. Because when you have an individual who is set on getting back at the entities he feels checked his power or attempted to hold him accountable legally or whatever it might be, and has learned the lessons as to which institutions, which positions within those institutions got in the way of his ambitions, then he'll make sure he doesn't make those same mistakes again. And that can yield very dangerous outcomes. So before we discuss further, here is this from Trump.
There is no more dire threat to the American way of life than the corruption and weaponization of our justice system, and it's happening all around us. If we cannot restore the fair and impartial rule of law, we will not be a free country. As president, it will be my personal mission to restore the scales of justice in America. We will have fairness and equality under the law, and to that end, I will appoint U.S. attorneys who will be the polar opposite of the Soros district attorneys and others that are being appointed throughout the United States. Very unfair to our population, very unfair to our country. They will be the 100 most ferocious legal warriors against crime and communist corruption that this country has ever seen. As we completely overhaul the Federal Department of Justice and FBI, we will...
So stop it there. It gets into the normal stuff we've heard before. And we'll watch a little bit more from this in a second. But there he's touching on U.S. attorneys, and then he gets to a full overhaul of the DOJ and FBI. And this is a part of the overall plan and ambition of Trump if he were to have a second term, which is to make sure at every level, whether it be the DOJ, FBI, whether it be the appointments he has in all these different areas, or as we've seen in past videos, him really wanting to get rid of the part of the bureaucracy that functions relatively independently from the president, and try to make it where the president has much more authority over each and every one of those individual positions, hiring and firing. Why? So that there is not the liability for someone like Trump of people who aren't fully loyal to him, fully under his direct authority. And if he can get in as many positions as possible, full Trump loyals, not just people who have kind of a similar ideology or would be good for the position, but full Trump loyals who would not challenge him in as many positions within what is referred to as the bureaucracy, kind of what makes the government go every day, what drives that engine, does the day-to-day logistical work, or whether it be U.S. attorneys, whether it be generally the DOJ just having the ability, as we're seeing now, to legally hold him accountable, investigate him, which he very much doesn't like, and not having a Mike Pence as his vice president who may not go along with these very radical ambitions we saw. While he was on board with a lot of stuff, Mike Pence did draw the line at January 6th and not going along with the attempts to overturn the election. So I say all that to say Trump learned his lesson last time. He learned that a part of our government is there are checks and balances. And wherever he can, obviously he can't get rid of Congress, but wherever he can, he will attempt to implement Trump loyalists, to make sure he's not challenged in whatever he wants to do, and make sure as well that he is less likely to be legally held accountable for any criminal wrongdoing. That's definitely what's shaping up. That's why there's this obsession with the federal government's being weaponized, and that's why we have to root out all these institutions. That's why we have to abolish, as Matt Gaetz has been calling for. It might be necessary, he says, to abolish the DOJ, FBI, etc., etc. Now let me play a little bit more from this, and then we'll discuss further.
We have to confront this radicalized law in schools. You take a look at what they've done to our schools, our beautiful schools. We have to reform the far-left bar associations and stop the purge of conservative lawyers from major law firms. I will do whatever it takes to save our legal system among the greatest achievements of Western civilization from the Marxist barbarians who seek to destroy it. And we will do that. We will save it. Thank you very much.
So in the name of fighting back against the Marxist barbarians and rooting out the deep state and making sure the federal government's not being weaponized, you'll have an effort. If Trump were to get a second term, we'll do everything possible to make sure that doesn't happen. But if it were to happen, he would definitely attempt to make sure every institution at every level of the government, even in places where it's not currently the way that it's organized, where the president has this type of authority, Trump will attempt to make sure either you have a complete loyalist in these positions or the institution itself is damaged, weakened, dismantled. He's calling for the DOJ and FBI to be defunded. And it highlights, once again, we talked about in a previous segment, an interesting article that walked through this, the parallel. We're watching what's taking place right now in Israel with Benjamin Netanyahu trying to weaken the judicial system, strengthen his power as prime minister, and how what Trump would try to do in weakening those institutions that provide that check on his power would likely be similar. There's a parallel there that should be concerning. And all of it is definitely not something we want to see turn into a reality.